Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cricket Talks. I'm joined by Will for the first episode of the Aussie winter or the English summer. It's been chock-a-block, Will, and thank you so much for giving up some of your time to join the program. How are you going?
No problem, mate. I obviously love coming in and chatting to you about the sport we love, and I'm doing well, to be honest. Good to finally start playing cricket and start living a bit of a normal life again. So yeah, going well. How about you?
Not too bad either. Yes, I'm having quite a good time, It's a bit colder in Perth than usual. So I'm having some freezing cold mornings, but the days are okay and I'm enjoying myself. First game, we're going to talk about England versus Sri Lanka or series. So we have a third T20 coming up later today. The first T20 was won by England by 8 wickets, where they chased down 130 with 2.5 overs remaining, led by Joss Buttler's 68 not out. And in the second T20, England won by 5 wickets in a rain-affected match. Bowlers Mark Wood and Adil Rashid led England with 2 crucial wickets each. Mark Wood got Kusal Mendes out on 39. Adil Rashid got Pereira out in the 20s. Livingston was the finisher for England and also took a good catch when fielding.
Yeah, I mean, you summed it up brilliantly there, to be fair. I thought the first T20 was very one-sided. England were always going to win that game. The second T20, again, Sri Lanka didn't perform brilliantly, but they caused England a bit of bother with the ball. But in the end, at the end of the day, England got the win. I haven't been too impressed with Sri Lanka. I weren't impressed with them in the winter or in the summer. I think they're a bit of a weak side at the moment, but I was impressed with one of the bowlers. I think it's Hasaranga, is it? He bowled very well.
Pretty good. Hasaranga's been pretty good. But
so yeah, I think it's an up and coming side, Sri Lanka. At the end of the day, England probably one of the best white ball teams in the world.
And I think that in the second T20, England bowlers led and really got those batsmen out for cheap numbers. And then in the first T20, it was England's batsmen that led the side. So it was different people that had to lead and different responsibilities because England didn't bat great in the second T20 in the run chase, other than Liam Livingston.
No.
But they did good enough.
I was a bit worried. I think we was about, I don't know, was it 30, 40 for 4 or something? I was actually playing cricket, but I came into the clubhouse and I looked at the score and I was a bit worried, but we got over the line. So that's the main thing.
Now we're going to roll on to the World Test Championship final. And that was a big story. New Zealand won. People say it was all flawed. People say there's a lot of things we can talk about that game for many reasons. And in my view, it was a good game of cricket. I thought, that day 6, people say, oh, this day 6 was a bad idea, but it was brilliant in my opinion.
I thought it was a very sensible decision to have a backup day, obviously with the weather in England. And as you saw, the first day got completely washed out and it was rain affected throughout the test match. So I thought it was a very sensible decision to have the 6th day, the backup day. And yeah, in the end, I think New Zealand, the best side, won. Obviously, it was a great test match between probably the 2 best test teams in the world. And both sides much deserved to be playing in that final. And I was also impressed on how much effort both sides put into that final. They weren't just there to play a game of cricket. You could see how much it meant to both teams.
I agree with that, Will, a lot. And England have learnt to be a good side. So it was interesting how they went against New Zealand. New Zealand just walked right through them. And it's really the rain that's ruined that first test match at Lord's. And honestly, Lord's is quite an interesting ground. It's very quiet atmosphere compared to Headingley. Headingley, they were singing, they were having fun. In Lord's, I think people were just chilling and relaxed and ready to watch cricket again. And the weather in a UK summer is very similar to an English summer, and the pitches are rolled out very similar. Whereas India usually play in a lot hotter weather, and it's often more turning wickets that they're playing on. So
I just don't think England were expecting or are used to the style of play New Zealand, how New Zealand play. Obviously, they came out and I think that they batted for over a day, and England play sides like Australia where it's usually a low scoring game, and especially games in England tend to be low scoring games. And New Zealand came to England and scored, I think, nearly 400 and batted for a long period of time. And I don't think England were used to that or were expecting that. So fair play to New Zealand.
That was a very good series of cricket from New Zealand as well. They performed really, really well and certainly were the dominant side so far of the summer. And we look forward to England versus India. On to the next segment of the program, West Indies versus South Africa. South Africa beat West Indies in the series 2-0 and won the second test by 158 runs. The player of the match was Kagiso Rabada, who picked up 5 wickets across the match and scored a total of 61 runs and his first innings score of 20 being not out. William Mulder also got a bowling spell of a whopping 3 for 1. That's 3 wickets for 1 run off 4 overs against the West Indies. We're heading into the first T20. Looks like a pretty strong side. The Kieron Pollard will be captain, Nicholas for the West Indies, and vice captain will be Nicholas Pooran. But how do you feel about this series, Will?
Well, first of all, it's good to see Chris Gale still playing. Obviously, he's back in the squad. I feel like he's retired about 6 times, but he's still in that West Indies side. But I rate West Indies very highly in T20 cricket. I think they got to go into the T20 World Cup as, one of the favourites to win it, obviously, with, likes of Pollard, Lewis, Pooran, Gale, big hitters, very experienced T20 players, Brathwaite and Holder, some fantastic all-rounders as well. So, yeah, they're a very good T20 side. Not so much in the red ball cricket. They are capable of a few upsets, Last year we saw when they came to England, they beat us in that first test with a quite convincing performance. But I think T20 cricket is where they're more strong.
I can agree with that because they've got those big hitters. But one thing about Chris Gale is he has played like 100 test matches. He's been a solid test player. So I think people often say he's a T20 player, but I think he's good at all 3 formats in my view. It's just his T20 is out of this world. And he plays his test matches like a T20 and still does well. And because you're in England and because you know all about this and you're an avid Birmingham Bears supporter, just like Spike and the Cricket Connoisseur, as you can see there on that shirt, I'm going to ask you a little bit about the Birmingham Bears and also the Vitality Blast in general. Then I'll give you the viewers an update straight after you tell us a little bit about it all with Birmingham Bears, how they're going this season.
Well, yeah, the Birmingham Bears they got off to a quite good start. Obviously, the fixtures weren't really going their way because obviously the test match was at Edgbaston, so they couldn't play any home games for a while. They had to play around 5 away games in a row, but I'm pretty sure they won most of them. Obviously, they did lose last week to Durham away, which was quite annoying, but Durham are a very good side. They're doing quite well. Obviously, they lost to Derbyshire, so they're in a bit of the form isn't as good as it was at the start of the season, but they've got a massive game against Durham today. I think they need about 2 more wins to qualify, which they should get. But yeah, they've got some very good and exciting players this year. They brought in Carlos Brathwaite, who is great to watch. And, they've got the likes of Danny Briggs, who I've been really impressed with in white and red ball cricket so far in this English summer of cricket. And, the captain, Will Rhodes, fantastic captain, fantastic leader, and some other honourable mentions, the likes of Tim Bresnan, Peter Milan, who I've been not too impressed with this year. Obviously, he came to Warwickshire with high expectations, and he hasn't really adapted to the English conditions very well. But overall, I think it's a big improvement from the Birmingham Bears and Warwickshire this season, and it's definitely looking up for the Bears.
That's brilliant to hear. And just as we update the scores around the ground, Yorkshire beat Worcestershire by 12 runs. Gloucestershire beat Sussex by 27 runs. Nottinghamshire versus Derbyshire was a draw. And Surrey beat Middlesex by 5 wickets. So
yeah, I think what's interesting with county cricket is there's a few sides like Surrey and Yorkshire who rely so much on the international players, and when they go play international cricket, they struggle quite a lot.
Yes, because they're trying to build their weight together. And speaking of putting their weight together, how are we going to get more children and teenagers to play cricket on this next segment of the program? We're going to talk about that. What do you think?
I mean, it's just getting them into cricket from an early age, really. Obviously, I help out an all-star session, a new project in England. I'm doing like a Duke of Edinburgh course where I have to volunteer. So I volunteer, help out the all-stars, 4 to 5 year olds, and it's introducing them to cricket at an early age, and hopefully even if 2 or 3 of them progress and play cricket when they're older, it's a success.
Exactly. And what I am going to say as well is getting cricket out to people. I think it's best that cricket players go out to the communities and all that, but there's only so many people they can meet. I think another key thing is volunteering in the community. That's number one. Number two, I think, is television coverage, and that's the key. If we have all the cricket on pay TV, it's not going to last as a sport. And yeah, I know this, I'm always on this rant, but even in Australia, there's not enough cricket on free to air. And I think like England, India on Channel 4 in England was fantastic. And the Australia-India series on Channel 7 in Australia. But a lot of cricket tours and a lot of cricket matches are either not live and no coverage, or just a news update once, or an hour's highlights. So it's really not enough coverage, because you can't choose whether you're born rich or born poor. And especially people that are new to cricket, their parents, usually people, stereotypically, cricket fans are wealthier. So unless your parents are going to be wealthy, then you're probably not going to be exposed to cricket stereotypically.
I think what's going to be, this is one of the main reasons why the 100 will be very good for English cricket, because obviously it's on free-to-air TV, I think, and all the best players in the world are playing in the tournament. Obviously, it's a shorter games. It might appeal to more non-cricket fans. It might get them more interested in the cricket. And I think it will be a success in that way. Obviously, it's not like traditional English cricket, not county cricket, which yes. I understand why county cricket fans are a bit upset by the 100 project. But I think in terms of getting youngsters and even adults into cricket, I think it'll be a very good thing for the English game.
It kind of reminds me a little bit of Kerry Packer's World Series cricket, where they were trying to improve and get more cricket out to fans. So commercializing the game for free-to-air television is a good idea. We just have to hope that if BBC do well with the 100 and people follow the 100, then people will start watching Vitality Blast, T20s, and then people will be watching England's international games, and people will eventually even go to the county championship and all the tour matches and all that. So that's the hope out of the 100. And I actually agree with the mission, because if people enjoy the 100, they'll enjoy Vitality Blast. Then BBC will pick up the Vitality Blast, and then that'll run a chain gang to increase fanship. But you have to find a unique way to stand out. And I suppose that's the key thing in branding and all that. And I think Australia's Big Bash did that for a while. It's a shame that it started off on pay TV, then it went to free to air, and then it was a phenomenon as soon as it got on Channel 10. So BBC cricket is the key here. What's your one message for the week for all the cricket fans, and what's your biggest prediction? What's the most exciting thing of the week, this upcoming week?
I think the Birmingham Bears are going to win the next few games, and we'll see an exciting week of Vitality Blast cricket. Also, I know it's not about cricket, but obviously massive game for any England football team. The whole country all behind them.
Everyone's
round
all
16
over it.
In the Euros.
Yeah, a lot of my friends are watching that. So that's kind of good for you to update on the Euros, because it's a massive football tournament. Right. I thank you so much for being on the podcast, and I'll see you soon enough. Thank you so much for joining again. It's very busy because the weather's finally, maybe not sunny, but certainly comfortable temperatures, and you're all outside having a good time, jamming around, probably listening to some music, playing cricket, or at least having a sunbathe on the beach, enjoying the summer or the Euros. So thank you so much for joining.
Thank you for having me on.
Thank you so much for watching. Bye for now.